With Hashem's loving grace, welcome to our Let's Be Our Best series. This is every month, every third Wednesday of the month, right here at Chazaq, sponsored by our wonderful friends and Chazaq and Torah Anytime and the fantastic Chesed organization, Chickens for Shabbos. Well, the Midrash says that a guest should always begin with the praise for his host. Well, today's lesson is no exception. So I just want to tell you a few words about Chazaq and Torah Anytime. Especially their importance has been so vital for Judaism all over the world, because during the COVID outbreak, the people can't get together, they can't gather. So what do? It used to be where people come together for Torah lessons. But Chazaq, they've solved the problem and they've expanded Torah Anytime. And when you can sit in your living room or in your car or wherever you are. You can even download these lessons and listen to them offline wherever you are. And you can have Torah Anytime. That's Torah Anytime. And that's Chazaq. Chazaq in Hebrew means strong. So Chazaq is about making your emunah strong, making your belief in Hashem strong, making your Judaism strong. And when you make your spirit strong, it makes your body strong, because the body and the spirit, they're one, they go together. So this is really a great thing, what they're doing. And it's remarkable. Talk about worldwide outreach. Worldwide outreach are people that live in places, and many people tell me that, I've seen you on Torah Anytime. And where do you live? Somewhere in Tennessee or in Indonesia, Jakarta. Was listening to Torah lessons in Jakarta? Yes, on Torah Anytime. Person from Jakarta told me, I saw you on Torah Anytime. Otherwise, they wouldn't have any other Torah lessons. So just imagine what this is doing. And I wish that everybody in Chazaq and Torah Anytime, everyone's involved in it, should have much success and be able to expand, like dir Torah la'adira, as we say in Hebrew, to expand the spread of Torah and bringing people closer to Hashem, because that's Mashiach. Talk about people getting closer to Hashem. We're now at the time where kids are going back to school. Just one little thing, people right and left what Chazaq does, and people don't know about. Chazaq has been instrumental in moving over 1,000 children in the New York area alone. We're not even talking about in other areas, because Chazaq is based in Queens, but as we just said, they operate not only in Queens, but they operate all over the world. Moved 1,000 children from secular education to Torah education. This is a revolution in Judaism. This is a revolution, but it's a quiet revolution. It's a quiet revolution. So you can see, and when grassroots Judaism being spread all over the place, and there's Chazaq's fingerprints wherever you go. So anything we could do to help or to support Chazaq organization, it's my deepest recommendation. It is a big mitzvah, With Hashem's loving grace, today's lesson, it's our fourth lesson in the Let's Be Our Best series. It's about self-assessment, choosing the right goal. With Hashem's loving grace, choosing the right goal is so important, but I'm going to preface with a little story that I made an actuality of, a story out of Kabbalah. And Kabbalah describes what happens to the soul when the soul goes to the next world. When the soul goes to the next world, people think that purgatory is the fire, it's physical fires, and it's what people know as hell. No. Have you ever been embarrassed? And you see what happens to a person when he's embarrassed? Their cheeks get flushed and you lose the color. What's the embarrassment? Someone has shown something that he or she is ashamed of. Well, what happens is when the soul goes into the next world, you can imagine today's, I'm making this a little modern imagery, but they show you two videos. You go into this big theater and the soul is on stage. Okay, after 120 years, you're on stage. And you can't see what's going on out in the theater, that maybe in the balcony is the justices of the heavenly court, the judges of the heavenly court. And in the audience are your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-grandparents, the tzaddikim of previous generations. And they're watching what happens. They care a lot about you. They're watching what happens in the court case. But the court case is prefaced with these two movies. What's the first movie? Oh, wow. The first movie is really embarrassing, because the first movie shows us everything that we've ever done since our beginning of our lives, since the day number one on earth. And people think that they do something and no one knows about it. It's all recorded. Like our sages and Pirkei Avot and Ethics of the Fathers, everything is recorded. Everything is there. And a person sees, oh, wow, it is so embarrassing. Not only that he sees, but the judges of the heavenly court see, and your relative, your deceased relative, people care about, you see all this thing. Oh, wow, it's really... But there's something worse than the first film. Then they show you a second film. And what happens is you look at this big screen, everybody's looking at a big screen, and there's nothing the neshama could do. The neshama could feel like it's a straitjacket. It feels like it's a straitjacket, and it can't move. And it's swiveled, turned around to look at this screen, and looks at the screen and watches the second movie. The second movie is the embarrassing movie. The second movie shows what you could have done with the abilities and the aptitudes that Hashem gave you, with all the good qualities that Hashem gave you. And what did you do? Wasted time on social media, wasted time on Facebook, wasted time on Instagram, wasted time gossiping with the guys or with the girls about things that are inconsequential. You could have been doing productive things. What's the great thing about our great sages, the Rambam, the Arizal? The Arizal lived at a young age. Rabbi Nachman of Breslov lived at a very young age. The Arizal and Rabbi Nachman didn't make it to 40, but look at the monumental things that they did, affecting all of our people for posterity, not only that, all of mankind for posterity, because they didn't waste any time. So this is the thing. We're going to make sure that we don't want to save that embarrassment. This lesson, pay attention to this lesson for the last half hour. It's going to save a lot of embarrassment in this world and the next world, because we're going to learn how to choose the right goal. And choosing the right goal, it keeps us from making a lot of mistakes and keeps us from missing our own personal bus. Imagine that you come a second late to the bus station, at the last bus to take you down to destination, and it's gone. So what do? You miss the bus. With today's lesson, we're not going to miss the bus. We're not going to miss the train. All right. But what happens? People are afraid to ask themselves serious questions in life. You know why they're afraid? Because they might get some answers that they don't like. So in order to do self-assessment, in order to really make personal growth, we have to leave comfort zone. Leaving comfort zone, do this in the gym, it's same with the body, same with the soul. A person cannot make spiritual personal growth, a growth of the body, growth of muscle, strength of muscles, by being in comfort zone in the gym, doing only the exercise that are comfortable. You have to strain, you have to work hard. And the same thing is an emotional growth, personal growth, and spiritual growth, that we have to strain, we have to work hard. So the first thing we have to do is to assess ourselves. Wait a second, where am I and where am I going? Well, in the previous lessons, we talked about where we are and how to go forward. Now we're going to go forward. So we're going to ask ourselves 5 significant questions and write these down. I'll put these on the screen for you. So remember, first question we want to ask us is, what gives me the feeling of inner gratification? Ask yourself, what makes you happy? What gives me the feeling of inner gratification? The second question we're going to ask ourselves, and a lot of people are afraid, people are going through life, what we call, swimmers call treading water. They're not going forward, and they're just treading water. But what happens in life, if a person just treads water, he goes back. Doesn't say that the current pushes him back. So a person has to ask himself the second question, question number 2, do I have a goal or am I going nowhere? So important that a person has a goal, because without a goal, not getting anywhere. A person's just going through day to day. How many people don't enjoy life? They get up in the morning. They don't want to get up in the morning, go to the same work and the same humdrum. Hey, excuse me, sir. Excuse me, madam. Why are you going to work? Oh, I need to make money. What do you need to make money for? Or to buy food? This is it? Just so that your existence is like a pack mule. Pack mule, he does work so that his master will give him food. You're human. You're more than a pack mule. You've got this special soul, this neshama that Hashem gave you. So a person has to ask himself, it's a sticky question, but have to ask himself, if he wants to make personal gain, he or she has to ask themselves if they have a goal or if they're going anywhere or standing still. The third question we need to ask ourselves, am I living according to my desires or to the desires and expectations of others? Well, maybe a person in question number 2 said, oh yeah, he has a goal, but who's a goal? This may be a goal that mommy or daddy wants for you, or your father-in-law, or your mother-in-law wants for you, or somebody else wants for you. But do you want to do that? Is this your goal? Is this what you really want to do? You have to ask yourself, is this my desires, or maybe it's peer pressure? People do a lot of things wrong because their friends are playing with drugs or smoking some kind of substance, and they want to be in, but they do the wrong thing. That's not what you want to do. And this is going to help get cool. This is detrimental to your health, your physical health, your spiritual health. So you shouldn't be doing it. The fourth question we need to ask ourselves is critical, and many people never ask themselves this question. It is so basic and so important. What are my good points? Question number 4, what are my good points? It's so important to ask yourself that. And this all brings us to the 5th question. And the first question is really important. Am I performing my task on earth? Hashem doesn't do anything without a purpose. We don't do things without a purpose. If I would say, okay, sit at home now and raise your hand and lower your hand and raise the other hand, lower the other hand. Well, that's stupid. I'm not going to do that. It's an exercise, something. We know that we wouldn't do something that doesn't make any sense. So why do we think that Hashem would do something that doesn't make sense? You know what that means? It is really important to understand that if Hashem sent your soul down to this earth, it means 2 significant things: that you have a job to do in this earth, to maintain this earth, and it means that the earth cannot exist without you. Otherwise, it's saying that the Creator does something for nothing, and that is certainly not right. Hashem has an express purpose for everything he does. So you have to ask yourself if you're performing your task on earth. Okay, so by answering the 5 questions, we just learned how to ask ourselves. And it's important that periodically, each one of us, we assess ourselves and we ask ourselves these 5 important questions. We not only determine where we are in life, but we're able to choose our goal, and it gives us direction. And once we have a goal, we can make much more progress and go up our own personal mountain and hit the top, hit the peak. So from this moment on, I want each of you to do a favor for yourself. For me, do a favor for yourself. Do not look at anyone else's goal. Don't let anyone else's goal influence you. The only goal that we're allowed to influence you is what the Gemara tells us, Kinat Seifrim Talbe Chochma. That if a person learns Torah, a person is allowed to look at another person gave himself the goal to learn the entire Talmud, 2,700 pages of Talmud, 2,000 of Gemara, learn the entire Gemara. And he says, wow, if he could do it, I want to do it too. And this gives him a push. That is something that one is allowed to do, to look at someone else's progress in Torah, because he wants to make that progress too. But you have to understand, maybe your pace is different. You have a different teacher. You could learn differently. But basically, you don't ever want to look at someone else's goal. If someone else wants to be a professional baseball player, that doesn't make anything. It doesn't make a difference to you. Or if someone is a great musician, I want to be a great musician too. Maybe that's not the best thing for you. We know why I mentioned Torah, because Torah is good for all of us, no matter what we do. If we're an accountant, a lawyer, a salesman, a cab driver, a bus driver. I know a cab driver who, by the time he's 85, he never missed a day of Daf Yomi, and it takes a 7-year cycle to learning 1 page of Gemara a day. You could finish a Gemara in 7 years, and he learned 8 cycles of Daf Yomi in 56 years. A cab driver, retired cab driver from New York. He came to live in Yerushalayim. His name was Hanina, and he finished Shas. When I knew him, and this was 20 years ago, he finished Shas 8 times. He finished learning the entire Gemara 8 times. It's something, what a fantastic goal. And this is what a cab driver did. So a person could look, oh, wait a second. He was driving a cab all day long in Manhattan, but yet he set aside time, day and night, every single day to learn a page. Well, I could do this too. This is a goal we can all do. So Torah is something that is for all of us. But outside, when we're talking about our career, or we're talking about our mission in life, our particular mission in life, not just something we all have to pray, we all have to learn Torah, we all have to perform the commandments of the Torah, the mitzvot. But in addition to that, to our particular job in life, this we have to ask ourselves these 5 questions. Okay, so now let's go back and elaborate on each of the 5 questions and learn them a little more in depth. What does it mean? So I said our first question is, what gives me the feeling of inner gratification? Inner gratification, in order to learn what gives us a feeling of inner gratification, we have to differentiate between a temporary thrill and lasting gratification. What's an example of temporary thrill? A great meal at a restaurant, or you go to a New York Yankees baseball game and they won the game. You had a great thrill. That's not gratification a long time, because today the Yankees won. Tomorrow they're going to lose. So your mood, you lose your good mood because your team lost. No, lasting gratification means that it goes with you your entire life and makes you feel good your entire life because you know what you're doing, you believe in what you're doing, even something difficult. For example, you take an Israeli soldier that really believes what he's doing, and it's not like an American soldier in Afghanistan that he's thousands and thousands of miles away from home. An Israeli soldier, no matter what border he's on, he's 2-3 hours maximum away from home. He's protecting his family, he's protecting his country. He's right there. He realizes what he wants to do. So even though life isn't easy, he believes in what he's doing, has complete belief. Now, you think of things as people sometimes, what really makes you feel good? Some people answer a silly answer. Oh, what really feels good? When I go to Dunkin' Donuts and I get a chocolate covered donut, that really makes me feel like I'm in heaven. I certainly hope your heaven is better than a Dunkin' Donut. Okay. But even if that is a heaven for you, it's a very sorely limited heaven. I'll tell you why. Because seconds after you take the last bite, how much does the good taste of the donut stay with you? But the calories stay with your midsection, and the fat, it stays in your blood, coats your arteries. The fat of a donut, yeah, it's got a lot of deep fried to deep boil, and the carbohydrates, they're not good. There's this white sugar, it's not good for your system. So we see that maybe the body has a quick thrill, but the soul and the long-term health of the body, they both suffer from the instant joy. And that's what we call bodily excess. Anything that we do, bodily excess or bodily indulgence, the body is going to pay the price of a little bit of enjoyment. And the body pays the price of its own health and well-being. So that's not the type of gratification we want, the instant gratification. And this is something that advertising, they tell you, get the instant gratification, Coca-Cola generation. It's on a hot day, drink a Coke. Okay, it goes in a person's brain, he drinks Coke, then he drinks the Coke, and he doesn't realize that there are ingredients inside the Coke, inside the Coca-Cola, they're addictive. Sugar is very addictive, and there's so much sugar there. Okay, so we can agree that drinking a glass of Coke or a chocolate-covered donut, as well as any other bodily indulgences, got to leave us lasting gratification. So ask yourself something else. What makes me feel really good inside? What makes me feel proud of myself? What gives me so much satisfaction that I don't need the praise, the approval of other people? You ever think you and your buddy, you're riding down the road and you see an elderly couple and they got a flat tire on the side of the road. So you pull over on the side, you don't know these people. And you say, can we help you, sir? You say, yeah, we've got a flat tire and I'm not, a little difficult for me to change a tire. I'm waiting, I'm trying to get some the tow or somebody road help and nobody's answering. Oh, that's no problem. You got a jack in the car, you got a spare tire? Yeah. So you go in you and your buddy, you open up his trunk, he's got a jack, he's got a spare tire. You go and you change his tire. And the old man, he doesn't know how to thank you. He wants to pay you. No, sir. This is my good deed. This is my mitzvah, especially if you got a keep on your head. It's a Kiddush Hashem. Not only did you do a favor for the old man, you did a Kiddush Hashem. It's sanctification of Hashem's name. This person, maybe, just a person, whatever. And he sees this observant Jewish guy or observant Jewish girl that came in that didn't change his tire and didn't ask for a thing. No, I don't need anything. And then you drive away and you didn't want any kind of reward because you knew you did something so good. And it makes you feel so great. And this is, thank you, Hashem. You say, thank you, Hashem, because Hashem gave you a gift of allowing you to be the person that does this good deed. Now, some people, they say, well, wait a second, maybe they want a reporter to take their picture and put it in paper, they did a good deed. Nah, that's not, they don't get the satisfaction because their goals are self-publicity or whatever, or they're seeking honor. But when you do something really, really good for someone, or for yourself, for society, for Hashem, you don't need honor from anyone. You don't need a pat on the back from anyone. You know you've done something good. This is true gratification, when you know you've done something good. Okay, so that is, this is the type of path in life you want to take. You want to take a path in life when you know you're doing something good. You're doing something good for the world. You're doing something good for society. You're doing something to help. And you could do the same. This, you could be a teacher. You could be a plumber. You could be a plumber. I know a young man in Jerusalem who's got 10 kids, and he doesn't take money for his Torah learning, but he works at night as a plumber. And a lot of times this guy comes home at night with no money. Why? Because he did the plumbing for some other Torah scholar that can't afford it. He says, that's okay. He's got such bitachon, such trust in the Hashem will pay for it. And people don't know. Here you unclogged our drain, you unclogged our toilet. Here, another family, another Torah family of a husband and wife and 6-8 kids. They could use their bathroom. They've got running water by virtue of this plumber. You think a guy, a plumber, a person could be a plumber and be the biggest tzaddik in the world, like a character out of the Baal Shem Tov. I know a person like that. It's just like that. He doesn't want me to publicize his name, but know this guy very well. And you could have a person who's some big Rosh Yeshiva, but yet he might be in it for his own prestige. Is not particularly the best educator in the world. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Well, you do something right. And when you do something that causes Hashem gratification, you get the gratification. Hashem sends the gratification, and you feel good inside. You feel good inside. For example, suppose you gave $1 million. You're a philanthropist. You gave $1 million to build local mikveh. And now they have a Lava Malka, and they give an award ceremony, and they call you up, and the head of the community in front of everybody's applauding for you. Oh, this is Mr. Cohen. He gave Mr. Levy, Mr. Israel. He donated $1 million. And here's his certificate, the donor, the Cohen mikveh, the Levy mikveh, and everybody's applauding. Okay, so you've got all this prestige. Oh, yeah, all this prestige, but it doesn't penetrate your heart. Oh, it's nice on the outside, and it's nice to hear, and it's nice to hear everybody applauding you, but you don't get that glow on your heart. To get that glow of gratification on your heart, you have to have something that pleases Hashem, because Hashem is the one that gives you this illumination on your heart. It's glow. It's when Hashem is happy. It's to get you evoke a divine illumination, and you feel this goodness. When you do something really, really good, and somebody doesn't know about it, you don't need any publicity. You don't need any award. You don't need a certificate. You don't need the applause, because you have that glow. This is what we're looking for when we're trying to find something that causes us the gratification. Okay, so that's our first parameter. What can cause me that type of gratification? Let me go that path and go in that direction. Our second question we asked ourselves, do I have a goal, or am I going nowhere? So many people in modern society, they're simply treading water. They're like a chinchilla on a wheel. They're spinning the wheel all day long. They're not going anywhere. Okay, so ask yourself, is a bi-weekly or a monthly paycheck all you have to look forward to? So people, they get regular paychecks. There are people with jobs and people with good jobs, but still they're sad and depressed, because hardship and pain, they're peripheral issues when a person is focused on a goal. When a person is focused on a goal, going for a goal, if he's got hardship, if he's got pain, he doesn't get sad and depressed, because he's all the time got this goal. He's plugging, going forward. And what happens when a person is sad and depressed, you could usually see that the person is lifeless. The person doesn't have energy. It's got what we call soul fatigue. It doesn't go forward. But a person is going forward, even if he's got a tough life, a really tough life, but he's got a goal and he's willing to pay. You take a guy who's at Parris Island, South Carolina, he's in the Marine basic training. He's got a goal. He wants to be a Marine. That is really tough, but he's going, keeps going. And a guy like that's not depressed because even though he's got a tough life, he's got a goal he wants to meet. So there's a big difference between somebody with a goal and somebody without a goal. I'll give you an example. Let's take two doctors, the same type. They're both in family medicine. And one practices medicine as a means to make money. And the other practices medicine as a means to erase human suffering. So the first doctor, he'll never treat some inner city child that the parents can't afford. But the second doctor acts like the creator. He knows that Hashem will give him a blessing. Okay, he has compassion on the sick child, on an inner city sick child. And by treating him, that merciful physician makes the world a better place. And to two same doctors, look at the same exact ones. Say, okay, we say, well, a person's got to make money, especially in modern society. But if somebody lives in New York or Chicago, Miami, or London, the cost of living is so expensive. Well, certainly that's true. That's true. But making money, it's a goal, but it's not lasting or gratifying. Yeah, you have to pay your bills. But one of two things, Rabbi Nachman says, one of two things happens to money. Either Hashem takes the money away from the person, or Hashem takes the person away from the money. But there's an expression in Yiddish, in a shroud, there's no pockets. You know why? Because you don't go into the next world with your money. And we gave the example of a chinchilla. Okay, a chinchilla it keeps running and running, but it's on the same wheel. But remember, we're human beings. We're not chinchillas. And we have a goal. If it's a meaningful goal, no one can ever take that away from us. Take the two doctors again. Okay, the first doctor looking for money. Somebody can take away his money. But that second doctor that treated an inner city child when the parents didn't have medical insurance, parent couldn't pay for it, but he relieved the suffering of that child. That is a mitzvah. That's a fantastic good deed, a lofty good deed that no one can ever take away from him. That's his for the end of time. Okay, so for us to get off the wheel of just existing and spinning our wheels, we have to take our energy and direct it toward a goal, right? And establish our goal. Okay, to elaborate on our third question. On our third question, we asked ourselves, this is something really important, especially young people. Not only young people, everyone. Am I living according to my desires? Or am I living according to the desires and expectations of other people? The other people could be family, it could be peers, it could be people in your community, people in your synagogue. Okay, look at this. So many parents, they force children to do things that the child can't stand. I'll give you an example. There's a father who never quite made the football team. He loves football, but never made the football team. Okay, but he wants to relive his life through his son. All right, so he forces his son to become a football player. He's got to be a football player. And he forces football down the son's throat. But maybe the son's dream is to play the violin, to be another Yitzhak Perlman, to be a violinist. Okay, so under his father's pressure, the son is going to be miserable because he's never going to be successful as a football player, and he won't be able to develop as a violinist. That's double frustration. So many people are going around with a double frustration. They're doing something to try and meet the expectations of someone else, and they're not meeting their own expectations. So they're doubly failing. They can't meet the other person's expectations, whether it's a parent, whether it's a spouse, whether it's with anyone. And they can't meet their own expectations, which is a tragedy. So true self-assessment, honest self-assessment means taking a serious look at ourselves and asking ourselves probing, lie-busting questions, such as, am I doing what I want to do? Am I walking down some path that somebody else made for me? Or am I following the path that's right for me? Ask yourself these questions. Ask yourself, don't be afraid. Look in the mirror and say, what do I want from myself? What do I want from myself? Where do I want to go? Am I properly using my talents and strengths? Well, the answers to those questions, and they're difficult questions, but most people never ask themselves these questions. These are the additional markers that mark out our path in life up our personal mountain. Okay. So let's elaborate now on our fourth question. Sounds like a silly question, but it's so very basic. What are my good points? Okay, our good points, you know what they are? They're the special qualities and talents and aptitudes that the creator of the world gave every one of us. These are the good points that enable us to accomplish our mission in life and to follow our own path, climb up our own mountain. They're the tools that help us get up the mountain, just like a mountain climber. He's got a hammer and he's got ropes. He's got everything he needs to climb up a mountain. He's got these big iron pegs and nails that he can knock into hard rock in order to tie a winch around there and pull himself up. He's got tools that he needs to get up the mountain. We all need certain tools to get up our own mountain, to get up our own path. And we'd have our own backpack, just like the climber does. And we're going to learn that in our next lesson. But meanwhile, we have to ask ourselves, what do I have in my backpack? What are the tools I have in my backpack? What are my good points? My tools, these are my good points. What am I going to war with? Do I have a plane? Do I have a ship? Do I have a rifle? Do I have a tank? A soldier's got to know. So he's got to know, well, what kind of, who's he fighting for? Is he an infantry soldier, a tank soldier? Is he an airman? Is he in the Navy? If he doesn't know what his tools are, how can he know how to fight the war? Okay, so let's go on to our fifth question. Our fifth question is continuing on with the soldier. Am I fighting my war? Am I performing my task on earth? Am I doing what Hashem wants me to do, the mission that he sent me to do? And how can I know this? To know what the mission that Hashem wants me to do, I have to realize my talents and aptitudes. That's why I had to ask myself talents. What are the tools that Hashem are giving me? In other words, if Hashem made me 5'4" instead of 6'10", maybe if I'm 6'10", I got a chance of playing in the NBA. If I'm 5'4", I don't have much of a chance to play in the NBA. So that means if I'm 5'4", Hashem created me short, Hashem probably didn't expect me or want me, or it's not my mission in life to play professional basketball. Okay, so we have to, in order to ask ourselves, am I performing my mission on earth? We have to answer the first four questions. Now we get to the fifth question, am I performing my mission on earth? And this is the special task that Hashem sent me to do. And we're going to talk all about in our let's be our best, that Hashem creates each of us with our own unique traits. And you know something? Beloved brother and sister, you are no exception. You're no exception. Hashem created you with plenty of good points. And if you don't know them, you got to get to work, look at new points, because if you don't know your good points, you can't be performing your mission in life. And so don't let society fool you. Don't let people put you down. You can't put down. And once again, you're Hashem's beloved son, you're Hashem's beloved daughter. And if Hashem put you on this earth, Hashem gave you tools, important tools to go to war with. So what is social media and advertising and modern society? How do they fool a person and they dupe a person? What do they rip off a person. They rip a person because they try and set material goals for people. Let's say material goals, yeah, because they want you to buy something or use something, but the soul is not satisfied for material goals. The soul is not satisfied for making money. Like we gave the example, the two doctors, all the money at once. King Solomon says that a person that searches with money doesn't die with even half of his bodily urges being met. That's what King Solomon, the wise of all men, tells us. But a person that has that doctor that treated the inner city kid his parents couldn't afford, he's got this satisfaction, this glowing satisfaction. And Hashem's going to help him. Hashem will give him 3 times the money, all kinds of different ways. But you have to remember, material amenities, they can't buy character improvement, they can't buy inner peace, and they won't enable you to leave your mark on earth unless your goal is to be some kind of major philanthropist. If you want to be a major philanthropist like a Reichman, and you want to be able to keep yeshivas and koilim alive, you want to be able to give Chazaq and Torah Anytime and Chickens for Shabbos $10 million a year, that's a good goal. But this your goal. Your goal is not the money. It's to be able to give these organizations the money for all the good they could do. That's all right. But look at the people, fame and fortune, people like Marilyn Monroe or Elvis Presley or Janis Joplin or Jimi Hendrix, these popular movie stars and rock stars, and a long list of other rich and famous people. They had all the money and fame and everything they wanted, but they all committed suicide and they all left the world at a young age. So have to go back. You go back and review our previous Let's Be Our Best lessons. You can see them. You can catch them on YouTube, on the Chazaq station on YouTube. And we discussed where we're going. So once we ask ourselves the 5 candid questions that we said in today's lesson, and we assess ourselves, give ourselves answers questions, and we add our own personal prayers to help us, to ask Shem help us receive clarity, then we can really establish a meaningful destination in life that gives us a renewed power to be our best. And we can put aside, we don't have time anymore for inconsequential endeavors. Somebody wants us to gossip. No, I don't have time for that. I got to go get my goal. And that's a fantastic blessing. So now we've devoted a half hour to establishing where we want to go in life and how we want to do it. Okay, so now we're ready to identify our own particular tools. We're going to do that next week. But meanwhile, ask yourself these 5 questions, sit with yourself, review them, and establish your goal. And Hashem should help you reach your goal and all your heart's wishes for the best. Amen. But before we close off, I want to tell you about Chickens for Shabbos, our wonderful sponsor. Chickens for Shabbos is an arm. It's a long arm of Yad Eliezer. Yad Eliezer, if you talk about a superpower, you think of somebody as superpower. You say superpower, Russia, China, the United States. If I would tell you, we talk about doing good things. You know the superpowers in doing good things? Yad Eliezer. And one of the branches, the main branch of that superpower is Chickens for Shabbos. But Chickens for Shabbos, that sounds like a silly name. No, it is not a silly name. Chickens for Shabbos takes hungry families, takes one-parent families, takes parents that can't afford it here in the land of Israel, and puts food on their table for Shabbos. It's Chickens for Shabbos. It's very, but even deeper than the food they put on the table, they put food in hungry kids' souls. Imagine a father that's up and left. There are families like that, one-parent families where the woman is an aguna. She's left before she can't remarry because his husband disappeared, maybe flaked out at the pressure or something, and he left shul. You know what it is to be a child without a father and to go to cheder, and that everybody else has a father that helps him learn his Chumash Rashi, and learn his Gemara, learn his Mishnayos. And this little boy, 9, 10 years old, this little boy in cheder, he doesn't have a father to help him. Not only that, his mother barely ekes out a living. She irons for people and she does laundry for people. I'm telling you a true story right here for the land of Israel. Okay, and we're talking about stories like this in Ramat Beit Shemesh, stories like this in Tzfat, stories like this all over the country. Your mother can't afford to put food on the table. So little boy, not only is he hungry, but he's fallen behind in school. So he's going to have a proper breakfast. Maybe he come to school without a breakfast at all, and he can't concentrate. He doesn't know the studies well because he doesn't have a father to learn with him. And he falls behind, and he falls behind, and he falls behind. Well, let me tell you something. If you think that the best intelligent organization in Israel is the Shin Bet or the Mossad, I don't know, Yad Eliezer, Chickens for Shabbos, I don't know how they do it, but they do. They seek out these kids. The one-parent kids, the orphans, that they don't have food on the table, that they don't have somebody to learn with them, and they hire out of their own pockets, they hire tutors to come and learn the kid. So not only do they put food on their table for Shabbos, not only do they fill these empty refrigerators, but they fill their souls. It is unbelievable. Chickens for Shabbos is out there saving lives every single day with Yad Eliezer. And this is one of my favorite charities. I love giving to them. So to support Chickens for Shabbos, please go to chickensforshabbos.com. You can see it right here. Okay, put that in your browser, click on it and donate. And whatever you give to them, Hashem will give you a really big blessing right back. And this is what we're talking about, the gratifying things. This is the type of gratifying mitzvah that will illuminate your soul. And when we help others, Hashem makes sure that we don't need help from anyone else. So God bless, And we look forward to seeing you again on Let's Be Our Best right here at Chazaq with Chickens for Shabbos. God bless.